Anywho, um, there were promises made over and over by Moderna for a new and better formulation for the Krigler-Najjar vaccine, and that oncology was Moderna's next big opportunity after vaccines. So he's on a money campaign. He's making promises. He's got to get more money into the company. So this was Bansel's bid to get new investors with lots of money to invest in Moderna. Um, in keeping in mind in his past jobs, it was with Eli Lilly and sales and marketing. So right after the J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference, Moderna for the first time had their scientists publish data in Cell, CELL, and it's a peer-reviewed journal. And if you don't know about peer review, scientists, they do a study, work on theory for a vaccine or a treatment for something. This is oversimplification. It's peer review is so important. You put the theory out there, or you put your study out there, and scientists that are familiar, like teachers or people with experience, they go back and they review the data and kind of formulate, is this bunk or is there something here? This is great. And again, this is way oversimplification. It's so much more than that, and it's so important. It's scientists and doctors checking each other, because what they do is so important. It's checks and balances. So again, they published some data in Cell, and it was peer reviewed. What they published was about an animal trial for its Zika vaccine, which did show efficacy and safety in mice. The results were similar to BioNTech's own mRNA Zika vaccine animal trial results. However, Moderna was involved with a legal dispute over the nanoparticle delivery system licensed to it through Aquitas. Holy cow, I forgot already. Aquitas. I'm going to say it that way. The court ruling restricted Moderna's use of it. In 2017, Moderna's top investors slashed its valuation of the company by nearly $2 billion, due to Moderna had struggled to live up to its own hype, and so the investors were losing faith, and they cut it by nearly $2 billion, which, it's a lot of money. That's a lot of unproduced medications and vaccines. So it was problematic that Moderna lagged behind its mRNA vaccine competitors. The promise of its technology to produce viable vaccines was only proven at that point by a small single trial. And that trial, according to Boston Business Journal, was an, quote, early stage human trial that was primarily meant to assess the safety of an avian flu vaccine, unquote. Moderna claimed that despite the trial being designed to assess safety, that the trial provided evidence that the vaccine is effective with no major side effects. So then in September 2017, there was a closed-door investor event that was to just keep more major investors from jumping the Moderna sinking ship. The provided details on a recently published press release on the trial results of a therapy meant to regrow heart tissue by boosting production of a protein known as VEGF. So this is, they put their heads together at a round table and decided this was going to be something that they were going to work on. This would be something that would generate revenue, and so they got it out to the investors hoping to generate some more money, which it did. That press release generated positive media headlines, noting that the therapy had been proven safe in a study with a sample size of 44 patients, which is not a lot. However, there's a however, because this is Moderna. There was one piece of information not given to investors or the media, which was how much protein the therapy caused the patient to produce, which left its efficacy in question. So, once again, not 100% transparent. This did cause media reports on the investors meeting to note that, quote, since Moderna did not release that crucial data point, outsiders can't judge how much therapeutic potential there may be, unquote. The results of the study did not inspire confidence in several of the investors that were there. One direct quote from several attendees was they were not overly impressed. Again, one of the issues here is that Moderna's valuation was and is underpinned by its promise to produce products that require repeated injections over a lifetime. It's a common theme with them. So, anyways, I just want to go back to that small study. The VEGF therapy was meant to be a one-time only injection, and the smoky, smirky, murky evidence of its safety did nothing to resolve the problem of none of Moderna's multi-dose products not proven safe enough to test on humans. So it's a carrot stick. They're putting a carrot stick out there to get money that they need to try to fix this lipid nanoparticle delivery system. So the presentation to investors also made clear that Moderna is prioritizing vaccines. Vaccines are easier to develop from mRNA because the patient needs just one dose, which eliminates some of the safety issues that have troubled some of their more ambitious projects, such as therapies for rare diseases. So for the VEGF therapy, there would only be one dose. So, the focus on vaccines was like a sticking point with a lot of investors because vaccines were thought of as a low margin product that wouldn't generate anywhere near the profits seen in fields like rare diseases and oncology, which is pretty lucrative. I worked in an infusion pharmacy, and I can tell you that things like IVIG, any kind of cancer treatment, whether it's a pill or chemo, that is a lot of money. Though that makes a lot of money for the manufacturers. And I just say that because I've seen it firsthand. I remember a patient. It wasn't what the insurance allowed to be billed, but if you didn't have insurance, this medication would have cost $25,000 for a dose. So it can be extremely lucrative, and then the providers and networks, so it gets contracted down. But I just use that as an example. So what is Moderna's massive valuation? I'm reading my note backwards. This is what Moderna's massive valuation had been based on, but they couldn't produce a safe therapy. Through the remainder of 2017 into 2018, there were more resignations, high-profile resignations. Even the chief scientific officer of vaccine business by the name of Giuseppe Ciaramella left. Ciaramella was not only the leading vaccine development guy, but also had been the first Moderna executive to suggest that the company technology could be useful in developing vaccines, which was a suggestion that the company was now betting everything they had on. So for Giuseppe to leave was really questionable. I wanted to see what he was doing now, so I did a little bit of research on him. He is now president and chief scientific officer of Beam Therapeutics. I read through his bio and found the following pretty interesting, and I don't know, maybe you will too. This bio was on Beam Therapeutics' webpage. It says he was the CSO of the Infectious Diseases Division of Moderna, where he was instrumental in generating some of the first mRNA vaccines to be dosed in humans, several of which are progressing through clinical studies. At Boehringer Ingelheim, he served as vice president and head of collaborative research, where he had responsibility for external research and development and was a member of the research leadership team. Prior to Boehringer Ingelheim, he spent 14 years at Pfizer in the UK, where he held several discovery leadership positions, including head of biotherapeutics, head of antivirals, and head of lead discovery. One thought I had is that these guys change jobs in their fields like waiters and waitresses. And I say that with love because for 20 years I was a waitress and assistant manager in restaurants while my kids were little, before I was able to further my education and get a better job. Like, if you were doing a good job in a restaurant and someone that was in charge from another restaurant heard about you or seen you, they would come and steal you away. So this just kind of reminded me of that. Um, it it's interesting to me. So anyway, getting back to Giuseppe, I like his name, Giuseppe. Giuseppe. His bio says that he helped Moderna get some of their mRNA vaccines to market. So I went to Moderna's website to look at what vaccines outside of the COVID vaccines that have been FDA approved, and there are none. Not even the COVID vaccines. So unless he is actually referencing these vaccines, there are no others. Moderna does, however, have several vaccines in the works. If you go to their website, you can look through. They're all in different stages of phases of trials, and most are mRNA. None are even near the stage where they are up for approval. There's none, not a nil. None. So, I don't know what's up with his bio, but okay. Moderna has two major issues. One we've talked about, and that's the challenge of creating products that work and can be proven to work in clinical settings. The other we're about to talk about, and that are the disputes related to intellectual property and patents. And I would just want to note here that these same legal issues deal with that lipid nanoparticle system that was also at the root of Moderna's safety and product issue. And then just to reference real quick back in part one, the lipid nanoparticle delivery system that Moderna used in many of their attempted therapies was licensed to them by Aquitas. Did I say that right again? I have to think. I think I said it was an Aquitas. Holy cow. This is terrible. So Aquitas licensed that system from a separate company. So yeah. Okay, so now we're bringing in another party, which was Arbutus. Arbutus in 2016 sued, saying that Aquitas's sub-license to Moderna was illegal. It's like renting an apartment, then renting it again or a part of it to someone else, even though it's supposed to only be rented to you. So these waters are so muddied. It I have to admit, just reading through, and you find some information, and then you want to double check your information, and then while you're double checking